Okay. I tend to be serious, so let me lighten up a bit. Okay. Quick introduction to your journey towards generative AI,
Right.
because that's a hot topic right now.
If you've heard about the GPT, the T is stands for the Transformers model.
What are all the things that you try and do to prepare for
Oh.
your class, or I mean, all the techniques that
I
you use,
think
which you don't reveal?
one question to people are, sir, is this generated content or is it real content? Because
Exactly.
so good today.
Exactly. But ethically, I understand that we have to give source. But technically, is it an original content or?
If everything is autopilot, why do you require pilots? Can I go and sit in the cockpit and then take the flight? And obviously, you're not going to sit in the flight. People used to say, okay, I've got a knowledge, but I don't know how to apply it.
Correct.
Yes, that's where the gap is. There's the knowledge and the skill, right? And that's where the intelligence also come into picture as such, right? Pick one particular recipe, apply it, eat it.
Okay.
Hopefully you survive.
Okay. Hi, so we are joined with Naveen, who has been a faculty of IIMB and has spent a lot of time in our AI for Managers program. So maybe can you give a quick introduction to your journey towards generative AI?
Right.
Because that's a hot topic right now. I think 5 years before we wouldn't have even, we
Yes.
wouldn't have heard this word Gen AI. So
Right,
maybe a
right,
quick
right.
introduction will help us understand the
Oh yeah,
journey.
it's very much. See, it's been evolved over a period of time, right? So I was actually part of a company called EMC Square, and I was like extensively working on big data, data science, and AI as such, right? But of course, if you see AI, you talk about terms like machine learning, deep learning, which are the fundamentals of the generative AI as such, right? So and now with advancements of the technology and the algorithms, we actually are able to come out with the models which can learn the underlying function of any object, whether it's a human face.
Okay.
And today you talk about Ghibli art and also, right? It's amazing, well, good, because it's the sophistication of the algorithms. But yes, fundamentally there are your deep learning models, and if you've heard about the GPT, the T stands for the Transformers model.
Correct.
And that's where. So I've been working on those models, and have this company Blitz AI, which is again a no-code AI, Gen AI platform, right? And the idea was to go and build a platform end to end as such, right? So that's where the journey, kickstarted even more serious with GPT or let's say Gen AI. But yes, of course, we were doing machine learning, deep learning from like almost a decade in my previous company, and the company I started as well.
That's really great. Today, I think we would like to focus more on how this Gen AI can be used for more teaching and learning. Fortunately, you have been doing both, right?
Yes, yes.
So you have been teaching as part of it, and you have been experienced a lot
Very,
in
very
using
true.
it. So can you give a bit? I mean, let's maybe start with teaching, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so as a faculty, what are all the things that you try and do to prepare for your class, or I mean, all the techniques that
I
you use,
think
which you don't reveal?
one question to people are, sir, is this generated content or is it real content? Because
Exactly.
it's so good today.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, I think, see, the challenge here is you can have only an experience to a certain point, right? And let's say you have a particular topic, and the audience are coming from different domain, different context there, right? So with generative AI, you can actually give a lot of examples which is contextual in their particular domain, right? So even if I don't have, let's say, an understanding of a particular domain, I can use these tools to give me an analogies and case studies, and then probably talk to them and understand how can it be contextualized.
Okay.
Because we all know these models are only as good as the context, right? And you remove the context, it's going to hallucinate beautifully, right? And with biases also.
Okay.
So what we tend to do here is, we have the concept, probably use it in different contexts, in different domain, so that it becomes much more contextualized and personalized as such.
All right.
Right?
I just wanted to bit deeper into that concept of case study. I mean, can you maybe probably share an example of what you have tried in your class on
Right.
how you have tried to put this case study together, maybe bringing the context into the picture?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
See, like, let's say I'll give you a context of, let's say, we have these electronic medical records,
Okay.
right, which is predominantly in, say, let's say, in the US, where you capture the information about the diagnosis of the patient and those information there, right? But let's say now I have to go and contextualize in the Indian context, as I did for one of the healthcare companies in India, right? Now, the kind of words used, the kind of the medicine names, right, and then kind of contextualize of how do you go and address the soul analysis is different in different countries and different regions, right? Now, I had exposure only to the region of US for my clients' data as such, right? When it comes to Indian context, how do I contextualize it? Because the customers, the people who are sitting in the class are from the Indian context there, right? So now I use these kind of tools to show me like what would be the equivalent context here, so that I can relate them much better. And when they go back and apply them, it becomes very easy for them to relate. Okay, now I understand what exactly the concept is.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really great how you have given the context into the system, and you were also mentioning it hallucinates a lot when
Yes.
you don't give context. And I think most of the uh, people who are new to GPT just give one query and say that they look at the output and say, "Oh, I'm not getting what I want."
Yes.
What would you tell a faculty who is completely new to AI?
Mm-hmm.
And he is getting started with and he has no clue about what is hallucination, what is output, one
Oh
shot,
yeah.
nothing. So what is your suggestion in terms of a faculty to get started with this journey? What should he
Yes.
or she do?
But I think first you have to understand like what is this model all about, right?
Mhm.
See, end of the day, it's a mathematical model, right? But
Mm.
yes, it has got its advantages and disadvantages.
Mm.
We have to understand that these models are like, to give a simple term, it's just like given a sequence of word, it predicts the next word, right? So when it predicts the next word, probably it can predict the most probable word. But again, the most probable word is not necessarily the right answer also. Yes, right? So that means if you just blindly follow this, and let's say the most probable word it came out with was a wrong word,
Mm.
and it starts generating incorrect answers.
Correct.
So you have to be cognizant of the fact that this actually are just generative in nature, but what it generates is not guaranteed to be the right answer. That means it can hallucinate, it can give incorrect answers, right? It can give you a biased answer. So you, as an the teacher or let's say the faculty there, has to know that there is some limitation on this model. So not blindly following it, right? See the output, and since you have that authority on the particular topic, validate it, and then probably use it.
Can I just? I mean, we use the word hallucination. I think in tech world we are clear.
Yeah.
But if you explain it to a faculty,
Uh-huh.
what is from an AI point of view, what is hallucination?
Okay. So for model from an AI perspective, there's nothing like hallucination.
Uh,
Hallucination is the concept of the human,
Okay.
right? So if I ask, no, in 1983 World Cup final, what happened?
Correct.
Now we all know that India won the match, okay, and let's say I think they played around 54.4 overs, something like that.
Yeah.
But the model goes and says, "Oh, India won the match, and the man of the match was given to Sunil Gavaskar."
Correct.
That's incorrect answer there, and India scored 283, which is wrong.
That's true.
So since we feel that the model is generating answers probably is correct, but it could give some factual misinformation, right? Give you, and if you just blindly follow it, and let's say you're teaching some concept to a student,
Correct.
and you just blindly follow, and you follow the equation of that what model generates, you might actually give a wrong, input to the student.
Absolutely.
So you have to be cognizant of the fact that it can actually give some incorrect answers. It might look right, but looks are deceptive. Right.
What are some good practices? Maybe, I mean, initially you said this, you gave some input into it, where
Yes.
you are giving some context into the model, and then
Yes.
you are able to generate output.
Exactly.
Do you have any more few suggestions that you
Yes.
typically follow to make sure that you are getting the data right, or
Correct.
you know when it is hallucinating?
Correct.
Sometimes we don't even know that whether it's hallucinating.
Exactly. So that's one of the reasons, today if you see these applications, right, they give you when they give you output, they also say the answer is coming from which source.
Correct.
Right. This introduces the transparency, and it reduces the chances of hallucinating. Yeah. So if you see your chat GPT today is no more chat GPT, it's chat GPT plus search GPT.
Okay.
Right. So
Correct.
whenever you ask the question, there's an option called search the web.
Yeah.
So when you enable it, every time you ask the question, even though probably the model knew the answer, it still searches the web, gives you the links, and then say, okay, I got the answer from these links.
Correct.
So what happens is now okay, it's giving the answer from a source, and I can click on the source and see, oh, okay, it looks right. Okay. So there's a way of verifying what is generating. Okay. Because at the end of the day, these models are stochastic, probabilistic in nature, and what we want is deterministic results. Okay. Right? So to increase the confidence in what is getting generated and giving the right sources, you know that it's working fine.
Okay. I think that's a great step towards actually making sure that it doesn't hallucinate and things like that.
Yes.
In that context, maybe, I mean, we are hearing the word prompting, prompt engineering becoming a very important part of the current conversation.
Yes.
It's also basically how you are talking to AI nowadays.
Yes,
I think
yes.
that's going to be very relevant in the hopefully how much ever smarter the AI systems get, it should
yes.
be the human, how can it talk to AI.
Yeah.
So from a faculty point of view, how would they want to look at prompt engineering?
Yeah.
And maybe you can give some tips there in terms of how they can get
Yes.
started with that journey.
See, think about like prompt engineering is like a language to communicate with the computer here. In this case, not the computer, because we all know to communicate with the computer, you should do programming, right?
Yeah.
Now you have got a computer which is can understand your language. So it's been trained in a specific way, and unfortunately, we will not know which way each model is trained, right? And the general consensus is that it's been trained with the natural language.
Correct.
So you're saying that, okay, as long as you know with experimentation, right, you can talk to it naturally, right, and you get the output the way you want.
Correct.
Then you start understanding, okay, now it knows what are the words to use. So like imagine like speaking to any other person. You're speaking to this particular model also, right?
Okay.
And it's a pre-trained knowledge. So think it about like another person who's
Mhm.
got the prior knowledge from the complete internet,
Okay.
right? So
Okay.
and you're talking to him and understand that. So that means, but unfortunately, you have to be very careful also with the cost here, because end of the day, they charge you based on the number of words which get generated.
Correct.
So you have to be very clear and descriptive enough to not become verbose.
Okay.
You don't confuse it, right?
Correct.
Be very clear and distinctive, right? That's how you have to go and communicate with these models.
I think this so just the perspective of, for example, many of the faculties would be creating their lesson plan or creating a quiz out of it or creating an assignment out of it.
Yes.
So as you have already said that we can, so I'm just touching upon the copyright and this one issue, right?
Correct,
So
correct,
how
correct.
cognizant they have to be in terms of like material that is being generated,
Yes, yes,
as
yes.
worried about being copyrighted
Correct.
or
See, it's
yeah.
at the end of the day, it's like, give respect to people who have done the effort of, let's say today Ghibli, there's no conversations around that,
Correct.
right? Should we really go and do this so freely, right?
Yeah.
When these guys have put so much of effort and to show that creativity, somehow you're de-incentivizing creativity, right? When you don't go to give the justice to their the effort they put in.
Correct.
Same thing here also, right? One of the reasons I always say that try to ensure that you give the sources, right?
Yeah.
So that it gives a motivation for people to go create. Otherwise, you'll end up having the creation getting stopped.
Correct.
And end of the day, we all know this is only as good as the data.
Okay.
If you don't give, you don't incentivize to people to go create genuine data or human generated data,
Correct.
then you might have to hit a saturation of the ability of this models also.
Absolutely.
Right. So the only way is, I believe, is that give the sources also. Right.
But
so
ethically, I understand that we have to give source. But technically, for example, if I input something into GPT and I generate it, and then I use it in my class as a faculty,
yeah.
is it an original content or like is it a tricky situation here?
Yeah,
or
exactly. See,
yeah.
that's what the challenge is, right? See, that's what we say, from a concept perspective, we try to give references first, user references, right? And then probably use those references and in a GPT and say, okay, this probably is an answer coming from these books.
Correct.
Right? So this ensures that we are, giving the right references. And then there we say, okay, the answer is coming from here. So even in my sessions also, a lot of it content taken from these papers, research papers, right?
Correct.
So in my presentations, I very clearly say, okay, these are the links I've used,
Okay.
right? Of course, I'm not going to show you each and every content in that file, but I'm going to give you, let's say, a summary of this. But if you want to go deeper, these are the sources.
But in that sense, I think even if you look at any professor, they would be potentially, even if you remove Gen AI from the system, they would be actually referring all these articles and then summarizing it.
Correct.
I think currently we have a tool which enables you to do it a bit more faster and
not only
efficiently.
faster, right? It's like, let's say you have multiple audiences, right? Let's say different languages, right?
Yeah.
So now what happens is, now if you don't know that language, at least it shows you, okay, oh, I can go and reach out to an audience, let's say, or different, let's say disabilities or let's say different languages.
Correct.
That's something you can really scale, your teaching efforts, right? So you have your own style of teaching. But the kind of words used or the kind of context used is something which can be provided by these generative AI models.
Perfect.
Right?
Okay, great. So I just want to now start a bridge, right? I mean, we have been talking about teaching. So let me switch to learning, right? I mean, it's a very challenging time for both faculties.
Yes.
And also very challenging time, not challenging maybe, exciting time for learners. And
yes.
It's both exciting and scary.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So in that point, what I wanted, I mean, I will tell you what we see, right? Faculties are generating content online. They are using generative AI. And they are creating assignments, and you see learners just copying that assignment into
And
the
asking the
GPT
generative,
and
yes.
generating. So it's almost like AI interacting among each other.
Yes.
So in that context, what do you think a faculty should do so that they can focus more on learning part of it and not just about generating? I mean, both of us generating contents from both sides.
So exactly. See, as a human, we tend to be good at only one thing when you go deep, right? So this is, I'll give you a simple analogy, right? Say, sitting in an aircraft, you've seen this pilot sitting there, right? Now he's not driving the vehicle, right? Thankfully, I mean, there's an autopilot there, right? Now, if you're saying that, okay, I don't require a person to go depth and go to training. If everything is autopilot, why do you require pilots? Can I go and sit in the cockpit and then take the flight? Then obviously you don't want to sit in the flight, right? So the thing is there, why don't you do this? No, only the person who's gone through training, even though he's not probably driving it, he still has to go through training.
Correct.
He has to know the depth of the whole thing, because when it comes to an intervention required, when it comes to those extreme cases, those corner cases, you will still require the pilot there.
Correct.
Probably in the 50% or 80% or the 90% of the flight, he's not doing anything. But the 10 minutes, for the 10 minutes, he has to go through this huge number of training hours.
Correct.
So going depth has become a norm now.
Okay. I mean, I would like to dig deeper into it. So as a learner,
Yes.
what do you mean by going in depth? So for example, I mean, we have seen, like, if you ask now anything, any article, and a simple assignment, like, can you put together a business plan? It would be a simple. I mean, if you query that into a GPT, you are able to generate a simple business plan.
Correct.
What does going depth means for a learner?
Yes.
And how can a faculty encourage to do
Let me one thing.
Yeah.
Simple, right? Market, right? Let's say if the product is very easy to make, even you will make when I'll make.
Correct.
Right? Then what are you going to sell and what am I going to buy? And now the customer is like confused. Whom should I buy from?
Correct.
Right? So when you say depth, let's say with a generalist model, you go and say I'm going to have a general strategy, it's not going to work anymore. Like how can you go deeper? Let's say if I want to do market study as well, can I understand a particular concern of one particular segment of customers? Because these models are very good generalizing, right? And end of the day, they are only as good as the context you give. So I believe as a learner, we should learn how to build contextual driven applications. Right? Let's say if you're doing only, let's say cancer, I would go deeper in, let's say, blood cancer. Within blood cancer, leukemia, right? So it'll go deeper, right? So that we become hyper contextualized there.
Correct.
Because that's where we can get the inputs also, and that's why we can differentiate as such. Right?
Perfect.
At this level, you cannot really go and become differentiator. You can say you are making this content, there's another professor making same content. What is the difference here? So what am I going to teach here? I'll go depth because with my experience, that's why I go and make it much more enriched.
It's very interesting.
Yes. Otherwise, the context is going to be the same. I mean, for a student, say, okay, I'm doing the same thing from A or B, or I'm doing from A and B, or if I do from an ABC college, there's no difference. What is the difference is the depth which we get in, the experience which we get in. So that's the differentiation.
Imagine I'm a student. I am using my GPT for just copying assignments as of now.
Okay.
I would like to go deeper and use this AI systems to learn a bit more efficiently, better, and understand deeper into it. So what are all the things that I would do as a student to help me learn better?
Right. So there are two ways of learning today, right? I mean, one is, or two types of people you see, right? One is who want to work on the application side of these, and the other side is like who want to go deeper, like a hardcore AI engineer. How does it work? How do I make it train on GPU and all those things, right? Again, there's more of engineering effort going in and getting deeper and deeper also. The application side, of course, is the the contextual driven applications. So I see a lot of startups who are going deeper and deeper into building much more better models, making better, refining the architectures, making it energy efficient systems, right? Can I go and learn from environmental science to make these data centers much more efficient, use less resources, less water? So they're going deeper and deeper in their domain as such. Okay. Right?
This is more application point of view, is it?
Yeah, no, both applications. Like if I going depth also, like the application depth level.
Yeah.
Like there's companies where they're coming out data centers where they use less and less in water. Okay. And they're using AI to figure out what composition should I use, what chemicals should I use, what temperature should I set, how to make it more energy efficient as such, right? Good. And there are other companies who are like, a lot of companies who are building, endless or end-to-end platforms without any human intervention. As a customer support end-to-end. Correct. Right? Irrespective of the customers coming from, let's say, India or let's say, USA or from any language, no barrier at all, right? Okay. So let's say you can build an end-to-end platform without having like hundreds and thousands of people in your job. Great. So you'll have less, probably what will happen is like, you'll have, let's say, less job per company, but you have more companies. Oh, okay. Right? Interesting. So there you still require, that means the skill required is going to know, you should know end-to-end now. Earlier we required specialization because we didn't have any empowering tool to go and make our learning. So in my father's age, probably he said internet also was a boon. Yeah. Right? Because for him, he could get information. At that time, he was dependent on some physical trainers, some institutions. Now it's a game level playing game. Okay. Right? So that means now you need to know more end to end. Because you have the tools to act as a co-pilot, or today we call it autopilot. Okay. It's
interesting. So I mean, I'm just going back to the learning point of view, right?
Mhm.
Because I mean, I'm also stepping back a bit, saying that somebody who is in a rural India hearing this podcast and want to understand, okay, there are these systems, I've not heard it yet, I've heard what GPT is.
Yes.
What would such a person, like such a student, do to
Mhm.
get started with I mean, everybody is saying AI will take over your job. I mean,
Yes.
this is generally the data is floating around everywhere.
Correct, correct.
So what should be me? I have no clue about AI.
Yeah.
What should I do?
No, that's why I think it's a very critical thing to have the awareness, right?
Okay.
See, if you talk about today, a few years back, mobile handsets or phones, internet was very limited to the urban cities.
Yes.
Now it's getting proliferated into these, in fact, today you see people are using reels,
Yeah.
you're seeing YouTubes and
Correct.
WhatsApp, everything, right?
Correct.
So I think, having those platforms which gets, spread to them, and that's where I think the government of India, or let's say any country's government, is going to take an effort to ensure there is awareness created as such, right? That's very critical, because this, without awareness, is not, it's not going to work, right? So you need
Correct.
awareness that there's a system like that available for you to, and the system like available to go and communicate in your language.
Correct.
So that the barrier, see, the major concern for rural urban is the barrier,
Barriers.
right?
Yeah.
So the barriers are getting broken, right? And once the platform is enabled to them at a low cost, like today you got about, handsets are so cheap,
Correct.
right? And you got even your internet, so these plans so cheap, right? At a point, education become like free. In fact, intelligence is going to be free.
Okay.
Right?
That's interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
That is a game changer, because today,
What do you mean by intelligence being free? Because
like, think about it, right? Now, let's say for you to go and think, let's say, with the kind of a knowledge you have, people used to say, okay, I've got a knowledge, but I don't know how to apply it.
Correct.
Yes, that's where the gap is. There's the knowledge and the skill, right? And that's where the intelligence also come into picture as such, right? You've been learning. I learned this, but I don't know how to use it.
Correct.
Right? Now that's where these, models can tell you, okay, you could do this in your region. Let's say in that region, let's say the rural region, let's say he has got the knowledge now and he's got the problem now. Now these
So
tools
he
can
can
bridge
potentially use this tool to solve some of the
in
problems
locally itself.
locally itself.
Right?
Okay.
So that's the kind of problem you can start solving. You can become more problem solver. Then he says, okay, I have to go to some institution, go learn, then think, understand, apply, then understand.
Okay.
By the time he's got the knowledge and he knows how to apply it also, and he can start experimenting, probably, you never know, you have a startup idea there.
That's a great thing. I mean, I just wanted to, last point of view is, I mean, you can see ton of AI courses coming in, which I
Yes.
don't personally, the way things are, I mean, usually education have this catch up game with technology, right?
Yes, yes.
And nowadays, I think catching up is really immortal. I mean, we are talking about agentic AI and
Yes.
things like that within the time that we are talking about generative AI. Maybe,
Correct.
but how do a student who is thinking about learning about AI, right? Where should he join a course? Should he start taking online courses, YouTube? What would be your
See, I always believe, the only way to learn is have enough theory and do practical parallelly.
Correct.
Let's say if I do a prompt engineering course, I just stop there, right? And ensure do a project to understand what's possible, what's not possible. Because there's a lot of fluff in the market, okay? So because and the more the courses you have, the more worry you should have.
Exactly.
Right? It's like an information overload, right? And in human brain also gets, frozen, right? When you see too many information also. So I would say take one course, right? And you have a great tool, experiment it, apply somewhere. So always have a mini projects, right? Because we all know, let's say it's like learning cooking. Can you read a manual or can you read a recipe and say, I'm a great cook? No.
Absolutely.
You read one particular recipe, apply it, eat it.
Okay.
Hopefully you survive. But then you're trying to say that, okay, you get a feedback there.
But at least from a broader point of view, what you have mentioned was either you go deeper into this systems, machine learning, deep learning to create these AI systems, or go into a track where many of these applications are made and then you get to apply.
It's all about your interest also, right? See, there are people who can love to play gully cricket.
Correct.
And who would want to go and become like a Virat Kohli of the world.
Correct.
Now, you can't become Virat Kohli of the world by just playing gully cricket.
Absolutely.
You have to go to academy, proper training as such.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's up to what depth you would want to go. And I believe, yes, you'll have a lot of broad skills. You'll have a lot of, broad skills, and you'll have few depth skills.
Absolutely.
right?
I
So
think it's
now,
their own choices and
exactly, right?
experience
And
that
today
they
you have that possibility. If you're not from biotechnology,
correct.
who knows? Tomorrow you can start working on the technology also,
Okay.
and it open up the possibilities,
Okay.
right? Because if the gap between or if that the gap between of moving from one career to other career is getting smaller because of
Yeah.
these tools and these technologies, and of
Yeah.
course if you feel you're stuck somewhere, now
Absolutely.
why not? You can become something else today,
That's really
right?
great. Before you conclude, a final question. Like we touched upon agentic AI. That's going to be definitely the next big thing
Yeah.
where you deploy agents to do your work
Yes.
in a
Yes.
way.
Yes.
How do you think it will affect? I mean, say faculties or learners. Do you think there will be some bit of
So I think it's
yeah,
like, when I was in generative AI, moving from Copilot to, let's say, autopilot because of
correct.
agents there, right? But again, you'll have some human in the loop, right?
Mm,
See, some crucial decision making. See, end of the day, I told you these models are stochastic, they can hallucinate.
mm,
So if you just leave it to agent, and let's
mm,
say it's hallucinated and it's gone to a trajectory which is completely wrong,
mm,
and let's say the customer says the order was damaged,
right.
and the agent says, oh, you should get refund of $30,000.
Correct.
Hold on, who's going to pay for this if it's like
Absolutely.
hallucinated from $30 to $30,000?
Okay.
So that's why the human in the loop,
Okay.
or you have this kind of
So there will be tracking systems. I think
yes.
that's something which
So
is coming up a
yes, yes,
lot
the observability
recently.
is the component.
Yeah.
You have the traceability, you'll have the monitoring, right? You
Okay.
have the verification, the double verification kind of thing, right? Because
Okay.
end of the day, the accountability is not on the agent;
Okay.
it's on the person who gives the service
Okay.
or the company which gives the service,
Uh,
right? So you really can't go and say, oh, the agent made a mistake. Go and ask the agent for the liability.
all
No,
right.
you are the one who's going to be liable for this.
So I think the tracking systems will come in a place where you will
Even
make
more,
it
because that's where
accountable.
you're going to apply the guardrails and you're going to apply those compliances and the ethical practices,
All right.
right? Account for the biases and all, right? So yeah, and
Okay.
still the models are far, far away from really being completely unbiased.
Okay.
And Narendra Modi went and said in the US that the models can't go and generate an image with the left hand,
Correct.
and whatever you say to the model, it's not able to generate that.
Absolutely.
That's a serious problem, right? That
Yeah.
means fundamentally it doesn't know what left and right hand is,
Okay.
and that's a serious concern. So we have to be very cognizant of the fact that agents are good, but we can't really trust it 100% yet,
Okay.
right? So
Do
it's
you
going to evolve.
believe some of these AGIs and ASIs, which they are speaking about right now, and SoftBank is investing huge amount of money into these things? I mean, just a perspective. Do you? I mean, and mostly all AI predictions have been wrong. If you look at the past.
See, it's always going to be like that, right? See, when you're dealing with unknowns,
Mhm.
right, you can just try your best of saying,
Predicting.
okay, this is probably going to happen.
Yeah.
So in fact, AI is not like new.
Mm.
There have been multiple winters for AI,
Yeah.
AI winter multiple times, right?
Correct.
So, and human tendency is this, right? We always want to go and
One
explore,
step further.
right? So
Yeah.
people never thought of going to space for a vacation, right? That's how it's going to be.
That's true.
Probably my kids will say, oh, let's go to Mars
Yes, it
for a
could be the
vacation, right?
place. That's
We
true.
go to like from here to Mars in like 1 hour, right? So you never know the possibilities are going to happen. So as an investor, we are always going to think of going to the next level,
Mm.
right? And if you push ourselves, only then you have the funding coming in. Like,
Okay.
think about ChatGPT. It's an 8-year-old company, more than 8 years now, and if it's bleeding millions and billions of dollars, there are some investors, betting
Backing
on
it
it.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So that's something which is going to happen, right? Investors have to be optimistic here,
yeah.
right? Because there's nothing like to have a reference point here.
Correct.
You're doing something in an unknown. There's no reference point.
So they're just putting it and figuring out
Yes,
what
right.
is going to
If you
happen.
don't pump in that energy, if you
Yeah.
don't put in that money, the enthusiasm, right, then there's no way you're going to innovate,
Okay.
right? Because
So what? Having said that, I think we are seeing the models evolve and evolve. So
yes,
hopefully we'll see a better version coming out every
yes.
time.
So you'll always have this hype phase, and then you have those phase where
The
you'll
low
see
phase.
the reality checking in, and then we had generative AI, then we saw the wave of agentic AI. Now you don't know it's going to go down, or probably you have another wave coming up, right?
Okay.
So you never know that, right?
That's
So it's
interesting.
always going to be a possibility.
Okay. You have some final word for a faculty who is teaching, sitting somewhere, uh, looking at this video, or a learner who is sitting at this
Yeah.
video? What would be your final
Now I would say,
conclusion?
just like when computers came in, and if you said that I'm not going to use computers at all, I'm going to teach the same paper book way.
Correct.
It's a tool. Think it as a tool, and think it as your, let's say, helping you, making your life easier. The drudgery of going and correcting the same thing again and again, coming out with innovatives of. So let's say a lot of people had this idea of teaching it, artistically, and you didn't have the time to do it. They say you come out of the course and you got 3 days in hand. Then you basically just talk and make it more, monotonous. Now you're going to use this tool to make it much more engaging, much more interactive, right? And of course, it gives you a possibility of teaching it differently also, and change your style as such, right? So I would say definitely embrace it, right? And in a way, open mind, and also understand. Just don't go and superficially say, okay, ChatGPT is right every time. You have to validate it, because I tell you, right, a student going wrong is fine. A teacher going wrong can make the whole system bad.
Absolutely.
So it's a double onus, or it's a 10 times more onus on us to ensure. So embrace it, but with caution.
Okay. Thank you so much, Naveen, for it was a really wonderful conversation. I think the objective was also for any faculty or learners who wants to get a perspective of generative AI and what generative AI or agentic AI or what the future of AI is going to be. Hopefully, you get a small perspective on it. He joined us for a short time. I think hopefully we'll have more lengthier conversation with him in the coming days. I think was it okay? Thank you. How much time did we? Wow. Oh, correct 30 minutes, no? Okay. Acting, I find it very difficult, but okay. Stay tuned. Thank you. I find it difficult to act.